Are you absolutely out of your mind right now? Jon Moxley just terminated his contract with AEW and signed a massive 5-year deal with WWE in what might be the most shocking betrayal in professional wrestling history. If you think you've seen contract drama before, you haven't seen anything compared to this absolute earthquake that just shook the wrestling world to its core. This isn't just a wrestler changing companies, this is a complete nuclear bomb that could destroy AEW's credibility and prove that WWE's money can buy anyone, even the wrestlers who swore they'd never go back. But here's what's going to make your blood absolutely boil. Moxley didn't just leave AEW quietly or professionally. He terminated his contract, which means he probably had to pay massive legal fees and break clauses just to get out of his deal early. This man was so desperate to get back to WWE that he was willing to throw away millions of dollars and burn every bridge he built in AEW just to crawl back to the company he spent years criticizing. The hypocrisy is absolutely staggering. The absolute betrayal that Jon Moxley just committed against AEW, against Tony Khan, and against every single wrestling fan who believed in his vision of an alternative to WWE is making me physically sick right now. This is the same man who spent 3 years talking about creative freedom, about being treated like an artist instead of a corporate slave, about building something special outside of WWE's corporate machine. And now he's sold his soul for a 5-year WWE contract like everything he said was complete garbage. Let me break down exactly how devastating this is for AEW, because this isn't just losing a top star, this is losing the one guy who was supposed to represent everything AEW stood for. Moxley was the face of AEW's rebellion against WWE's corporate wrestling. He was the poster boy for wrestlers taking control of their own destinies. He was living proof that you could be successful and creative outside of WWE's system. And now all of that is dead because he couldn't resist WWE's blood money. The timing of this announcement is absolutely disgusting and calculated to cause maximum damage to AEW. This comes right after AEW's biggest pay-per-view of the year, right when they're trying to build momentum for their next major storylines, right when they need their top stars to be committed to the company's vision. Instead, their former world champion just stabbed them in the back and ran straight to their biggest competitor. The disrespect is absolutely unforgivable. Here's what makes this situation even more infuriating: Moxley was making millions of dollars in AEW. He was the top guy, he had creative control, he could do whatever he wanted artistically, and he was treated like wrestling royalty by Tony Khan and the entire AEW roster. But apparently none of that mattered when WWE came calling with their corporate checkbook. This proves that all his talk about artistic integrity and creative freedom was just bullshit marketing to make himself look good. The most disgusting part of this entire situation is how it makes AEW look like a minor league stepping stone for WWE castoffs who were just waiting for their chance to go back to the big leagues. Moxley spent years building AEW's credibility, telling fans that AEW was the future of wrestling, that they were creating something better than WWE. Now he's basically admitting that AEW was just a placeholder until WWE decided they wanted him back. But let's talk about the massive contract details that are absolutely mind-blowing. 5 years and reportedly over $20 million guaranteed. WWE basically offered Moxley more money than most wrestlers see in their entire careers just to get him away from AEW. This isn't just signing a free agent, this is corporate warfare designed to cripple AEW's roster and send a message that WWE can buy anyone they want. The fan reaction to this news has been absolutely explosive, and for good reason. AEW fans are feeling completely betrayed by someone they trusted to represent their vision of what wrestling could be. WWE fans are celebrating like they just won the lottery because they're getting back one of their former stars. And wrestling fans in general are watching the entire landscape shift because this signing changes everything about the wrestling war between WWE and AEW. What makes this betrayal even more painful is remembering all the things Moxley said about WWE during his AEW run. He talked about how WWE stifled his creativity, how they treated wrestlers like corporate employees instead of artists, how the company's corporate culture was toxic and soul-crushing. He made WWE sound like wrestling hell and AEW sound like wrestling paradise. Now look where he is. Back in wrestling hell counting his WWE money. The psychological warfare aspect of this signing is absolutely brilliant from WWE's perspective and absolutely devastating from AEW's perspective. WWE didn't just sign a top wrestler, they signed AEW's most important symbol of independence and creative freedom. They basically took AEW's entire philosophy and crushed it by proving that even their most committed believers have a price. Let me address something that's making me absolutely furious: all the WWE fanboys celebrating this signing like it's some kind of validation that WWE is better than AEW. This isn't about wrestling quality or creative vision, this is about money. Pure and simple. WWE offered Moxley so much money that he was willing to abandon everything he claimed to believe in. That doesn't make WWE better, it makes them a monopolistic corporation that uses financial pressure to destroy competition. The impact this is going to have on AEW's locker room morale must be absolutely devastating. Imagine being an AEW wrestler watching your former world champion, the guy who was supposed to be the heart and soul of the company, just abandon ship for a bigger paycheck. How are guys like Hangman Page, MJF, and Orange Cassidy supposed to feel knowing that their supposed leader sold them out for WWE money? But here's what's really making me angry about this whole situation: the complete hypocrisy of Jon Moxley's entire AEW career. For 3 years, he positioned himself as the anti-WWE wrestler who was too authentic and artistic for corporate wrestling. He built his entire persona around being the guy who chose creative freedom over financial security. And now he's back in WWE probably doing the exact same corporate-approved bullshit that he spent years complaining about. The business implications of this signing are absolutely staggering for both companies. For WWE, they just proved they can poach anyone from AEW if they throw enough money at them. For AEW, they just lost their most important star and their credibility as a legitimate alternative to WWE. This could be the beginning of the end for AEW as a serious competitor to WWE's dominance. What's absolutely disgusting is how this signing completely undermines everything AEW has been trying to build. They've spent 4 years convincing fans that wrestlers could be happy and successful outside of WWE's corporate system. They've positioned themselves as the company that treats wrestlers like human beings instead of corporate assets. And now their biggest star just proved that it was all marketing bullshit. The most heartbreaking aspect of this situation is what it means for all the young wrestlers in AEW who looked up to Moxley as a role model. These guys believed in the AEW vision because Moxley believed in it. They thought they could build careers based on artistic integrity and creative freedom because that's what Moxley represented. Now they're learning that even their heroes will sell out for the right price. Let's talk about the massive legal implications of Moxley terminating his AEW contract early. This probably cost him millions of dollars in legal fees and penalties, which means WWE's offer had to be absolutely insane for him to consider it worthwhile. We're talking about a contract so big that Moxley was willing to throw away guaranteed AEW money just for the chance to sign with WWE. The numbers must be absolutely staggering. The timing of this announcement also raises serious questions about when WWE first approached Moxley about returning. Was he negotiating with WWE while still under AEW contract? Was he planning this move for months while pretending to be committed to AEW? Did he deliberately tank his AEW performances to make it easier to leave? The potential deception involved here could be absolutely massive. What makes this situation even more infuriating is how it validates every criticism that WWE fanboys have made about AEW over the years. They always said AEW wrestlers were just failed WWE wrestlers looking for a payday before returning to the big leagues. They said AEW was a minor league promotion that would never be able to keep top talent away from WWE. And now Moxley just proved them right with his betrayal. The psychological impact this is going to have on Tony Khan personally must be absolutely devastating. This is a guy who has invested hundreds of millions of his family's money into building AEW as a legitimate competitor to WWE. He gave Moxley everything: money, creative control, main event spots, championship runs. And Moxley just repaid that investment by stabbing him in the back and running to WWE. But here's what's absolutely enraging me the most about this entire situation: the complete lack of loyalty and gratitude that Moxley is showing to AEW and Tony Khan. AEW took a chance on him when he was damaged goods from his WWE run. They gave him the platform to rebuild his career and prove he was more than just a WWE mid-carder. And this is how he repays that faith, by terminating his contract and running back to WWE like a dog returning to its master. The ripple effects of this signing are going to be felt throughout the entire wrestling industry for years to come. Every AEW wrestler is now going to wonder if they should be looking for WWE opportunities instead of building their careers in AEW. Every wrestling fan is going to question whether AEW can actually compete with WWE's financial resources. This single signing could change the entire landscape of professional wrestling. What's making this betrayal even more painful is remembering how Moxley talked about his AEW teammates like they were family. He called them brothers, he talked about building something special together, he positioned AEW as a brotherhood united against WWE's corporate machine. Now he's abandoning that family for WWE money like none of those relationships meant anything to him. The most disgusting aspect of this situation is how it proves that WWE's monopolistic tactics are working perfectly. They don't need to create better wrestling or treat wrestlers better, they just need to offer enough money to buy away AEW's top talent. This is corporate warfare at its most ruthless, and unfortunately it's working exactly as WWE planned. Let me address the WWE fanboys who are going to flood the comments celebrating this signing. You're celebrating the wrong thing. This isn't a victory for WWE's wrestling quality or creative vision. This is a victory for WWE's ability to use monopolistic financial pressure to destroy competition. You should be worried about what this means for wrestling diversity and creativity, not celebrating it. The long-term consequences of this signing could be absolutely catastrophic for wrestling fans. If WWE can just buy away any AEW wrestler who becomes successful, then there's no real competition in professional wrestling. That means less innovation, fewer opportunities for wrestlers, and ultimately worse wrestling for fans. Moxley didn't just betray AEW, he betrayed every wrestling fan who benefits from having multiple major promotions. What's absolutely killing me is thinking about all the AEW wrestlers who are probably questioning their career choices right now. Guys like Darby Allin, Jungle Boy, and Sammy Guevara who have built their careers in AEW are probably wondering if they should be looking for WWE opportunities instead of staying loyal to the company that gave them their biggest breaks. The financial details of this WWE contract are probably going to set a new standard for wrestling salaries that could bankrupt smaller promotions. If WWE is willing to pay Moxley $20 million over 5 years, what are they going to offer other top AEW stars? How can any promotion compete with that kind of money? WWE is essentially using their financial advantages to buy a monopoly in professional wrestling. But here's what really makes this situation unforgivable: Moxley could have waited until his AEW contract expired to make this move. Instead, he chose to terminate early, which sends the message that he couldn't wait another day to get away from AEW. That level of disrespect to Tony Khan, to his AEW teammates, and to AEW fans is absolutely disgusting and unforgivable. The most heartbreaking part of this entire situation is what it means for the wrestlers who are still committed to AEW's vision. Guys like CM Punk, Eddie Kingston, and Bryan Danielson who chose AEW over WWE for creative and personal reasons must be feeling absolutely betrayed watching their supposed leader abandon everything they're fighting for. This signing also raises serious questions about the future of the wrestling industry. If WWE can just buy any successful wrestler from competing promotions, then what incentive do other companies have to invest in developing talent? Why should promotions spend money building stars if WWE can just steal them with bigger contracts? Moxley's betrayal could kill wrestling diversity forever. The reaction from AEW wrestlers on social media has been absolutely telling. The silence from most of the roster suggests they're either too shocked to comment or they're being advised to keep quiet while AEW figures out their legal and PR response. But you can bet that behind the scenes, there are some heated conversations happening about loyalty and commitment. What makes this betrayal even worse is that Moxley probably knew this was going to devastate AEW and he did it anyway. He chose his personal financial gain over the health of the wrestling industry, over loyalty to his teammates, over gratitude to Tony Khan, and over the fans who supported him throughout his AEW career. That level of selfishness is absolutely disgusting. So here's what I want to know from all of you: do you think Jon Moxley is a traitor who sold out everything he claimed to believe in for WWE money? Or do you think he made a smart business decision that any wrestler in his position would make? Do you believe this signing proves that AEW can never truly compete with WWE's financial resources? And most importantly, what does this mean for the future of wrestling competition and diversity? Because let me tell you something, this isn't just about one wrestler changing companies. This is about the entire future of professional wrestling and whether we're going to have genuine competition or just WWE using their monopolistic power to crush anyone who dares to challenge them. Jon Moxley didn't just sign a contract, he potentially killed the wrestling revolution that AEW was supposed to represent. Sound off in the comments and let me know if you think Moxley is a sellout traitor or a smart businessman. Because this story is just getting started and the wrestling world will never be the same.